Happy Michael Myers Monday, everybody. Happy birthday to Michael Myers. Welcome, everybody. I'm going to give a few minutes to see if we get some viewers coming in. If you're new here, my name is Matt Arts. I'm the editor-in-chief of Halloween Daily News. If you're returning, welcome back and happy Michael Myers Monday. It is a little after 10:31 on Monday, October 19th, 2020. What's up, Phil? Good to have you back. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you all for tuning in and joining me tonight. Probably not going to be on here real long, but do have a few things to talk about this week. Nothing too groundbreaking, but as it is October 19th, and it is the birthday of Michael Myers, according to Halloween Resurrection canon, anyway, and it's never been contradicted. So that is Michael's birthday as we know it. And so, of course, we're here to celebrate. And you can see I've got my 2018 shirt. This is the 2-year anniversary, the 2-year birthday of Halloween 2018, which was released on this day in 2018. So I'm going to be talking a little bit about that and some of the awesome people that I've talked to and gotten to interview from that film in just a little bit. First, as we get going, it's been a thing where I show the masks each week, and again, we're not going to do this all the time because we're going to run out of in-stock merch. As I said last week, the Halloween 2018s and the Halloween 78s are sold out right this minute, but I just was going to bring this guy in here for just a minute since we're talking about 2018 tonight. We do have the Bloody Edition, Trick or Treat Studios. They call it the Final Battle. It was originally called the Bloody Edition. That's the 2018 Michael Myers. We've got a few of those left in stock, and a few of those over there. That's the Boogeyman, the Halloween 78 alternate that they call the Boogeyman. We've got a few of those Boogeyman masks left in stock, but they're going quick too. We sold a couple this week. We got a few left. So we've got the Bloody Edition from 2018. We don't have the straight mask anymore. They're completely sold out. But I wanted to bring just a little bit of attention to that. And of course, both these masks you can find right now at HalloweenDailyNews.com/shop. It looks like we've got a few more viewers in here. Welcome, everybody. Welcome back. I see Phil is ready to rock tonight. You went to see 2018 in the theater this past Saturday. Awesome. Awesome. Where was it showing? That's awesome that it was showing in your theater. I'd love to know where. That's great. Hopefully everything was cool and safe for you at the theater. Awesome. How's everybody else doing tonight? All right, Cinemark. All right, so they're showing Halloween 2018 right now, because I know 78 and along with 4 and 5 are in the drive-in, so that's interesting. Awesome. Once again, everybody, I'm Matt with Halloween Daily News. This is Michael Myers Monday. This is our weekly live chat here on the HDN YouTube channel. And yeah, we've been doing this for about 11 weeks or so, I think now. Close to that, if not. And I don't know if we'll keep it live every single week, but we're going to go through Halloween this year and then see what happens after that. And we are going to keep doing the lives and certainly going into next year, especially talking about Michael Myers in this franchise, specifically with Halloween Kills coming next year, and of course Halloween Ends, which is going to be filmed next year. So all that is going to be very exciting moving forward, and there are some exciting developments behind the scenes here going on right now. In the near future, we're going to have the capability to have guests on here, and we'll see how it goes. I don't know. But that's going to happen at a certain point. We'll have some other people in here besides just me talking from time to time, and we should be able to live stream it, and we'll see how that goes on the Michael Myers Mondays live stream. So again, welcome everybody. If you're here for the first time, welcome back if you're returning. A couple things before we get to just general love fest for Halloween 2018 and Michael Myers on his birthday today. Just a few little news items and another little show and tell I'm gonna do right now because I got something new. Now we don't have these on sale for on our site. This is actually, if you can see that, this is actually a Hot Topic exclusive. I posted a photo on our Instagram of the box, and I'm going to show that off, and then I'm going to show it to you unboxed. But this is the brand new Michael Myers. They call him Michael Myers Ghost from John Carpenter's Halloween, and it's from the ghost scene, the Ghost Bob, the See Anything You Like scene in the '78 film. And it's a bobblehead. It's actually, though, if you see on here, it says featuring bobble hips action. So it's not the head so much, it's the hips that bobble, and I'm going to show you in just a minute. It's pretty awesome. But this just came out just a few weeks ago. It was a surprise release. I didn't know it was coming, but it's made by Royal Baubles. You see down there, and again, it's a Hot Topic exclusive. I actually ordered mine off their website because we don't live anywhere near a physical Hot Topic, or I would have possibly ventured out there. We don't even have a mall around here. But anyway, you can see the packaging. It's pretty. I like the orange here to bring it out just a little bit. But again, I like the blood right there. But you've got your imagery from the scene. Your imagery photo from the scene, and there's the back. They've actually got him down there in the sheets scene back here. I just noticed that it doesn't really make any sense because this is he's wearing the sheet, but of course this is from another scene in the film but that's the back. And yeah, you can see on the other side a clear shot from the scene. I kind of like this blood, like it's dripping out of the box here. And it's got a quote from Dr. Loomis right here where it says, "Because I know him, I'm his doctor. You must be ready for him. If you don't, it's your funeral." And that is, of course, Dr. Loomis's quote. I'm surprised they didn't have Linda's quote of "See Anything You Like," but I guess that'd be too on the nose. So anyway, I ordered this online. I was stoked that it arrived just like in I think about like 2 days, which nothing this year has really been arriving on time. So this is it. This is the guy. This is the figure. You can see him wobbling. He wobbles pretty much constantly, and I don't know if you can hear, but the resin kind of knocks. He came very packed, very, very nice. They had some nice styrofoam all up in here, so he couldn't wobble at all in the packaging. And I'm not going to show you all that tonight, but yeah, he was packaged perfectly, so he couldn't wobble. Because again, if this resin hits his legs too hard, I mean, you can hear it knocking. But he's heavy duty. He's heavy duty resin, a lot heavier than I thought he was going to be. He's 8 inches tall, which is pretty awesome. As you can see, I mean, he's got a base, and so he's not exactly 8-inch scale, but he works with like the 8-inch scale figures. If you wanted to display him with some 8-inch scale figures, he'd be almost in scale. And you can see the base, the bottom. That's the telephone that he kills Linda with. So yeah, I love this guy, and again, you'll be able to find a link in the description to the Hot Topic website. It is a Hot Topic exclusive, and they were on back order when I ordered it. It said they were on back order, and it wasn't going to ship until November 24th. But then, surprise, it got here 2 days later. So I was just super excited. I'll be posting better photos on Instagram, but I just wanted to show him off. And again, that is a new merch release. We've been talking every week about all the Myers merch that's out there right now. Um, it's almost ridiculous how much there is, but it is a great time to be a fan. And and yeah, a lot of us, we haven't gotten our convention fix this year. We haven't been able to shop the awesome horror vendors that we normally do and spend our money there. So there might be a little bit of spending money out there. And so Royal Baubles and Hot Topic getting into some of my con spending money, because that is something. But I love him. He's awesome. It's That's one of my absolute favorite scenes in the film. Um, when people rank their favorite kills, that's my favorite kill in the original film, and I probably in the whole franchise. That's Michael after he kills Bob, when he kills Linda, the Linda death. That's my number one kill. If I gotta pick one, again, I don't love the rankings and all that, but I've always loved that scene, and it's just I've talked on here before. I love anytime Michael wears something other than his regular mask, especially when he's just playing tricks on people, because that's what he does. He's like a big kid just playing tricks on people. So, Kyle, what's up, man? You have the 2018 mask. Awesome. Awesome. Do you have this bloody edition or just the regular 2018? You probably got one of the rehauled ones, maybe, or do you have the Trick or Treat Studios? There's a lot of good ones out there. All right. And again, there is a ton of merch news, and I'm just going to run through these real quick because some of this I've mentioned before, but I mean, there keeps getting more and more coming. Kyle, you got it from Spirit. Okay. Yeah. The straight 2018. That's probably the Trick or Treat Studios. Yep. Yeah. I've got one of those in my personal collection, and it's one of my favorite masks. We don't have any in our store in stock right now to sell. But we do have a few of these bloody ones. All right, here we go. Again, I just want to plug our friends over at Spook House Studios real quick, because they just unveiled their new poster release, and it is Halloween 78 is what they call it, Halloween 1978. And it's a 18 by 24 poster. You can get it on their website. I'll put a link in the description down here too. I've talked about them before. Their very first release was 2 Halloween 3 posters, one of which you can see hanging up there if you can make that out. But it's got the Trick or Treat kids watching TV. So this new one is Halloween 78, and it just got released from Spook House Studios, and it's pretty awesome. The top skyline is Sunset and Haddonfield, basically. There's actually a type in the orange type in the bottom that reads Haddonfield, Illinois, Halloween night, 1978. And up top in the skyline, it's Michael. It's his eyes. It's the mask, the blackest eyes, and from about the bottom of his nose up, that portion of his iconic mask is the sun setting skyline, and it's really striking. And then one of the coolest things about this poster, and again, I'll put the link below, but you need to check it out, because if you zoom in and you look a little bit closer, Haddonfield down below, it's a pretty specific Haddonfield, and he gets a lot of the details right on here. You can actually see Lori getting into Annie's car. You can down the road a little bit, you can actually see a van, and look right next to the van who just got up. There's Linda and Bob. And then you start looking at the houses, and sure enough, there's the Myers house. There's the Shape lurking, look, there's the Wallace house, the Doyle house. So again, a pretty detailed Halloween 78 poster, and definitely something that I think collectors are gonna love, and poster lovers like myself. my biggest problem, like a lot of you probably, is I'm running out of well, I'm pretty much out of wall space, but I'm trying to shift things and trying to get into a habit of rotating things around so that I can kind of change it with the seasons or with the months, and kind of give everything a different look every now and then, because so many of these posters that, I mean, I've got some awesome ones over the years that I used to have up and I had to take down to make room for others that maybe I want to rotate back into, put back into rotation. And then there's always new stuff like this coming out. So, but that's Spook House Studios. You want to check them out. And again, I talk about Fright Rags every week, but I mean, aside from the fact that I'm a fan of theirs and a customer, I mean, they do right by the franchise. I mean, so much stuff. Last week I talked about their lunchbox. I think that's pretty much done now. Pre-orders are done, and hopefully you got yourself one of those. But now they've got to end October. They've got more merch, more Myers merch from Fright Rags, new designs from John Carpenter's Halloween '78. They've got a Haddonfield Heritage hat and a Heritage varsity hoodie. So it's like you went to school, Haddonfield High, and of course, class of '78. And the hat. They've also got a dad hat, which has the poster pumpkin knife design, and the Heritage hat is just an orange H for Haddonfield High. And I like that varsity hoodie though. Then October 28th, they've got their H2o collection. And I've talked about this before, so I won't run through everything. But that includes a hat and looks like 3 t-shirt designs and a hoodie. Again, I mean, when's the last time you saw H2o officially licensed merch? And that same day, October 28th, they're releasing Resurrection, officially licensed Resurrection merch from Fright Rags. That's on October 28th. And last week, they had teased that on Michael Myers Monday. And I described that shirt. It's kind of plays on the whole technology aspect of Halloween Resurrection. Well, now they've unveiled the other 2 shirts, and one of which is actually pretty awesome. It's Michael, the Resurrection mask, and it looks like he's got a pumpkin. He's about to crush a pumpkin, but the orange text around it says "Trick or treat, motherfucker." So for the Dangertainment Busta Rhymes fans out there, you're going to need these shirts, probably all 3. And the third one is Dangertainment. It's actually the Dangertainment logo, which, I mean, honestly, that might even be my favorite one, because I've said before, I love the t-shirts where it's like in universe, like the Haddonfield High stuff I love. I love the Dangertainment stuff. Also, October 28th, their Fright Rags is releasing a Curse of Michael Myers t-shirt. And it's their vintage. It's like a vintage newspaper ad, black and white newspaper ad for the Curse of Michael Myers. And also, they're bringing back one of their previous Halloween 2018 designs, and they've got a new Halloween 2018 design, which is a really moody kind of full moon Michael silhouette. And it's got the fall leaves. It's just very blue and very fall, and just Michael's silhouetted head from Halloween 2018. And that's dropping October 28th as well from our friends over at Fright Rags. So much awesome merch and stuff. Just a great time to be a fan of this franchise in general. And while I'm talking about merch and new releases, I've got to mention this. I actually just put an article up. A lot of you might already have this book. If not, I will put a link to the new book, Taking Shape 2. This is Taking Shape, the first book that was released last year. And they just released a second one just last week called Taking Shape 2. This book, look how thick this is. I mean, this is massive. And what this is, again, this was released last year. It's written by Dustin McNeil and Travis Mullins, and it's called Taking Shape, Developing Halloween from Script to Scream. Okay. Now, I know a lot of you have already ordered this. What it does is it goes through the whole franchise up to the 2018 film and has all kinds of behind the scenes details and untold stories and basically all the different script ideas that have gone through this franchise. And it's a pretty amazing compilation. And they actually cite me and Halloween Daily News, and a couple of my interviews are cited in here as well. So again, I just put an article up though because these same guys, 1 year later, they just released Taking Shape 2, the Lost Halloween sequels. And so this new book, it concentrates specifically on the unmade films, the films that there were scripts for, or at least treatments, story ideas. They were in some stage of development somewhere along the 42 history of this franchise, and they never got made for whatever reason. Some of these, again, I've talked to some of these people about some of the films. We talked about the Daniel Farron's unmade version of Halloween 7 one time, stuff like that. But this new book of theirs, Taking Shape 2, they've actually got 24 of these lost sequels that they cover in the book. And again, it's available now. Before I started this broadcast, I just published an article at HalloweenDailyNews.com. Inside that article, you can get links to order both the books from Amazon. They're both available right now. And yeah, just to give you an idea of what this new one covers, some of the some of the unused sequels from the Halloween franchise over the years that this book will cover and give you the inside story about. They talk about an alternate Halloween 3, which was pitched decades after the first one was made. 3 unused versions of Halloween 4, including one with Laurie Strode. Exclusive details on an early Halloween 5 with an evil Jamie Lloyd. I think we all would have loved to have seen that. The Halloween 6 that was nearly produced by Quentin Tarantino. We've all read a lot about that. BladeDisgusting.com just recently did another story about that treatment. An early version of Halloween 7 before it became H2o. 3 different sequels to Halloween Resurrection. Yeah, there was. Where's Darnell? He can tell you all about what they were going to do after Resurrection at various times. Insight into how a crossover with Hellraiser almost came to be. I'm kind of glad that one didn't happen. 2 different stabs at a 3D sequel in the Rob Zombie era. Now you're getting into stuff that HDN was starting to cover by this time. And then a reboot with 2 shapes and another with 100 shapes. What? And the last thing they say, and this is in their press release, and I've not read the book, so I don't know. I thought, is this a joke? But they say it's one of the things they cover is a reboot that introduced the Halloween multiverse. So I can't wait to read about that. That's news to me. I didn't know that a multiverse, most of these I kind of knew were kicked around at some point, or am not surprised were kicked around at some point, just on what I do know. But the multiverse one, yeah, I don't know about that. But so what's up, everybody? All right, Mitchell in the house. Happy Michael Myers Monday, man. Good to see you back. Let's see, we got Byron. Byron's in the house. He has a pitch in mind for a Halloween film. It'll be in the H2o timeline. Bring Danielle Harris back. Let's hear it, man. Yeah, I'd love to hear pitches. We're good timing talking about these books and these unmade ideas, because there's been so many um, over the years, so many different ideas. And like I've said on previous weeks here, this franchise is not afraid to make its own rules and then break its own rules and do whatever the hell it wants to do. And, so after Halloween ends, we know it's not really going to end. So that's the only thing we know for sure. So, yeah, down the road, who knows? They could go back to the H2O timeline. Who knows? This franchise, they pick it up wherever they want to. And uh, let's see. Mitchell says, "Did you see Jimmy?" I saw it posted about. I've not had a chance to watch it yet, but I do look forward to watching it. And yeah, yeah. Did you see it? Did you like it? I guess. Yeah, Byron. I want to hear more about your story. Give us the broad strokes if you want. Love H6, but Jamie Lloyd was killed. Yep. Ah, pretending. Okay. So that wasn't the real Jamie. That would have been a good way to deal with that. 13 minutes. I'll like it. All right, absolutely. Yeah, maybe I'll watch it tonight, because it's a good time with it being the anniversary of 2018 film, and what we're talking about tonight. So yeah, maybe I'll check it out when I get off here. I usually need a few minutes to kind of come down a little bit from the excitement of talking to all you guys live out here on YouTube. So that might be good to check that out this evening. But pretty amazing. Wow, that's okay. I look forward to it. Yeah, I forget who I've seen, but I've seen a number of people that I follow on social media posting about it. So I'll look forward to checking it out. Byron says some of the comic book night dance would be in the kills from that comic book would be in the film. Okay, excellent. Yeah, I'm always surprised. I'm getting off the subject now, but that's perfectly fine. I'm always surprised that they don't draw more from the comic books that exist from years gone by. Those comic books had some great stories, and certainly some great kills and imagery, and yeah, I remember there was a lot of speculation before we knew anything about Halloween 2018 that maybe it might pull something from Night Dance. Not so much in that film, but yeah, that would definitely be interesting. And again, this franchise could do that. I mean, they did it with H2O. They said we're going to disregard these films. They've done it again with 2018. So, okay, where was I? Let's see. The Spook House poster, the taking shit. Okay, well, we did have one little kind of news thing that I should talk about here. And again, this isn't anything surprising, or I didn't even do an article on the site about it. A few sites have, but um, basically, Jason Blum, you've probably seen a few days ago, an interview was published on Forbes with Jason Blum, and he had just a quick comment about Halloween Kills, and basically his made clear his intention that it will not be delayed again next year, even if there's no vaccine. Even it sounds to me like he's saying even if theaters aren't fully open, that still doesn't matter. It's a great interview, and again, it's nothing really surprising, or what I kind of what I would expect him to be saying at this point. But it is still a little bit gratifying, I guess. One year out to at least know that it's going to come out one way or the other. Some interesting things to note, though, about this. He laughed in his response. He says, because they asked him if things haven't changed by October 15th of next year, would he hold it for another year? Because again, releasing Halloween a Halloween film any other time than October. I do agree that, yeah, any other time than October is ridiculous to release these films. But I understand that that means a whole 12 months of waiting. Anyway, Jason Blum responded laughing. He laughed, "No, if this is still going on next Halloween, no, we're not holding it. Halloween Kills is coming out next October. Come hell or high water, vaccine or no vaccine, it is coming out." So there you have it. It's, it's coming out. Now, I do think it's a tiny bit interesting elsewhere in the interview where he talks about The Craft and how that was released or is about to be released on premium VOD. And he talks about premium VOD and how it's not really going to go anywhere. It's just going to modify how long certain films are in physical theaters, when physical theaters are up and running again. And I just found that a little bit interesting because, again, I mean, hell or high water, vaccine or no vaccine, that's all great. And IMAX, we're all looking for, but you gotta look at all possibilities. What situation the world may be in next year, who knows? It sounds to me though that Jason Blum would at that point opt for a premium VOD and maybe a limited theater run. Anyway, this is what he says. These are his words about PVOD. Jason Blum says, quote, "I think PVOD will ultimately be great for movie going. I think that after there's a vaccine and it's safe to go back to movie theaters again, you'll see a lot more movies in movie theaters playing for a lot shorter time." He said those things are connected because there'll be room for more. Theatrical audience is always complaining that all there is in movie theaters is horror movies and tent poles. I think that's all going to change. Honestly, for those of us who make movies and love movies, I think that's great. So that's Jason Blum, kind of hypothesizing where he thinks we're going over the next 12 months or so. And just very interesting, again, that he, I'm not going to quote the whole interview, but he speaks about the decisions to not hold The Craft the way they held Halloween Kills, and instead to go ahead and release that one on premium VOD. So I'll put a link in the description as well to that interview at Forbes with Jason Blum, and I urge you to check that out. All right. Yep, VOD if same situation. Mitchell agrees. Yeah, the election will have a lot to do with things. Yep, we'll just have to wait and see. The comic side will be advertised after John Carpenter goes live with his news. Okay. A new comic, you think? A new, because again, when we were talking last week about what Ryan Freeman might have meant by they're not sitting idly by, some things are going to be announced soon. We kind of talked about maybe a comic book. Haven't seen a good Halloween comic book in a long time. And certainly Carpenter and his wife being comic book writers and publishers at the moment, and having their own publishing brand now with Storm King. I mean, how perfect would that be? So, yeah, well, thank you for that, because that I had not heard that, but I know Carpenter just launched his new. They just launched their new app, and so that certainly makes sense that you say that. I did download the app, and yeah, so thank you, Mitchell. Yeah, we're gonna have to look forward to that, and that might be very well what the announcement coming soon is going to be. Of course, October 15th came and went last week. There was not a Halloween Kills teaser or anything, any mention. Still thinking it might happen on October 31st, but not going to place any bets or make any promises because, again, it may not, like we talked about last week. But I do think that's probably the best bet of what day it'll happen if it's going to. All right, Byron. Let's get back to Byron's script, his pitch. I'd use the Halloween Returns script in it with Danielle Harris in it, Michael on death row. Yeah, Alan Howarth would be okay. Yeah, so yeah, you're talking about a little bit of a marriage of Night Dance and Halloween Returns ideas, and kind of doing your own spin on that. Um, I love the Alan Howarth. I talked I've talked on here before about when Halloween Returns was in development, and back in 2015, and I interviewed Alan Howarth, and he was so ready to do the music, and Marcus Dunstan and Patrick Melton saw some of his tweets, and it was just getting very exciting. And then that whole project was one of the lost sequels that you can read about in the book I was talking about earlier. But um, let's see. In Resurrection, he was 45. It would take place 17 years later. He'd be 62. The only part of Resurrection I'd keep is Laurie's dead. Being nothing else from H8 is canon. So just, yeah, that's how she died. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. I would, again, I mean, I'm going to go wherever Michael Myers goes or this franchise goes, even if they were to go Season of the Witch style and do a Myers-less film, I'd be first in line. But um, yeah, as far as rewriting Kanan or going back and saying let's forget these films and pick up the H2O storyline after Resurrection, but only after the beginning of Resurrection. Hey, if any franchise is going to do that, I think it's the Halloween franchise. In all honesty, I mean, that's just me as a fan. I mean, and I've come to just embrace the fact, the choose your own adventure of it all. Because what other franchise does this? And I guess the answer is more and more now, because we kind of saw the new Terminator film do a similar thing to what Halloween 2018 did. And I don't know if you saw, but just today, the new Leatherface, the new Chainsaw Massacre uh, teaser poster was released, and it sounds as if they're going to be doing a similar thing too. Might even be calling it Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Um, so it'd be, I think, the third film with that name, kind of like the third Halloween, and it's all. But this one, I think might. It sounds like they're going to maybe disregard the sequels and the other stuff and just concentrate on continuing from the original, which sounds like a familiar game plan. And but again, I mean, who else really has done that before? I think Halloween, they, like I keep saying, they make their own rules and then they break them, and that's, you either love it and embrace it, and or don't. But I say, it makes for whatever kind of marathon order you want to order them in. You can do that. You can have your Thorne trilogy, your Jamie Lloyd trilogy, and it does leave it open. I do think they could go back and finish some of these open stories. And I do think that the comic books are a great place to start. I'm surprised that they haven't looked more to stuff like Night Dance and some of those comics. Aaron says I would do a lab massacre scene, but it would be on the streets of Haddonfield. Also Russellville. Yep. Haddonfield will team up. Jamie Lloyd take out the shape. Yeah. Yeah. That sounds like a good pitch, man. Yeah, I would be down to see that. I mean, yeah, yeah. I heard that somebody, a fan, is recutting Halloween Resurrection right now, and is going to put their kind of fan cut of the film out there. Um, that'll be fun to watch. After I watch the other fan film, yeah, yeah. Save all your ideas, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, if any franchise is going to do that, it would be this one. They've proven that, and this 2018 was not the first time they proved that. So again, we're talking about Michael Myers in general, his birthday. We're talking about 2018 more specifically tonight. So that's a good, you know, tie-in that was not the first time that this franchise decided let's scrap everything before here. They did that with H2O. It's funny that we call H2O Halloween 7 and Resurrection Halloween 8 according to the original canon, but it's really almost like H2O is its own Halloween 4, but then they're both Halloween 4 and H2O really kind of their own Halloween 3 after Halloween. So the fact that we call them 7 and 8, I mean, it's almost like we might as well call Rob Zombie's Halloween 9, and I don't know, but there's Halloween 7 and 8 for lack of a better term, I guess, and it's original canon. Uh, but which canon are you going with? I guess the H2O Resurrection canon gets precedence, because it is connected to those first two movies. But now this one comes along, 2018 comes along and says, no, no, we're going back even further. So we get the precedence now. If that's the way it works. Again, it's all in what flavor you want this October. I feel like, you know, you want a Laurie Strode story? Do you want a Rob Zombie influenced version? Do you want a more modern, but feel like a throwback? It's all there. Halloween, the Blackest Eyes. That's a good title. I'm surprised they haven't used that one in real life lately. But again, when we all check out that book, we'll see that it probably was a title in the works at a certain point. I'm trying to remember what the working title for Halloween Kills was. It was something similar to Night Dance, and it got me thinking that it was Night Blade. That's what it was. And still at the very end of the film, in the copyright portion, you could see it's still under the Nightblade film name. If you watch the end of Halloween 2018, you'll see that. And you can actually search that at HalloweenDailyNews.com, and you'll see we reported on that really early on in the process. And then when they were shooting, because they weren't publicly saying, "Hey, we're shooting the new Halloween movie," their working title was Uncle Orange. I think a lot of you probably already know this, and have heard this before, or seen some of the set photos. But yeah, Uncle Orange. By the way, did you see some of the cast were posting uh, this past Friday, which was the day that HK was supposed to be released? A few of the cast members were posting um, kind of some set photos or just some, hey, see you next year stuff. Uh, I hope you saw that on Instagram. Nothing that we haven't really seen before. I did see one cast member post a really cool uh, jacket that he got from the set, or it might have been a T-shirt. Now I'm drawing a blank, but um, it was a new version of the Halloween '78 pumpkin knife logo poster, classic image that we all know, but like a new version of it. And I don't think they're necessarily going to be using that for the new movie, but if they do, it'd be pretty awesome. Um, yeah, I'll probably repost that on our IG for Michael Myers Monday here in just a little bit tonight when we wrap up here. Byron says the score would be a combination of H2, H4 in 2018 and the It Follows score. Yeah, that that sounds like a good combination. Absolutely. Absolutely. Excuse me, guys. All right. Well, let me just talk a little bit here, and then I'm going to wrap it up. But I'm going to talk a little bit about Halloween 2018 and just some of the awesome people that I got to talk to in 2018, leading up to the release of that film. And I've put links to some of those interviews down below. And who knows, some of these people we might be talking to again in the near future. Some of them that are involved in the new film in HK. So, but the first person I interviewed from Halloween 2018 actually turned out to be Nick Castle, and it was pretty awesome how that worked out. He was at Mad Monster Party that year, and I actually remember he was announced as a guest before he was announced to be playing Michael Myers in the new film, and uh, and so then filming began, in January in the winter of 2018, and I remember being so worried and scared that Nick wasn't going to be there at the convention. And then they wrapped, and he wrapped his work, and he was there, and and then a few days later the film wrapped completely. So and it was pretty great because it was his first convention appearance after having been on set. And so I got just a few minutes. It wasn't like a career in-depth conversation like some interviews can be sometimes. It was just a quick few minutes, when he had a few minutes during the convention, and he was nice enough to talk to me. And I remember he, of course there was no spoilers, but what he commented on, aside from saying that he was just really blown away by David Gordon Green and Danny McBride and the script and all, but he commented on how much like the 78 film the set felt, because he had not been on a Halloween set since, in 40 years. And so to be back there when John Carpenter was there, when Jamie Lee Curtis was there, I asked him what was the biggest difference from 40 years ago on that set to now on the 2018 set. And this was Nick's response to me. He said, quote, "When you say that question, what comes to mind is the opposite of that." This was a remark that Jamie had and I had at the same time. Almost we were going, God, this feels so much like the first movie. It's like everyone is a family here. Young people, they're not quite as young as we were when we did that, but pretty close. And they all work together from film school. They have connections, and it feels like they have a very cohesive group. They're also doing it on a shoestring budget for Hollywood standards, and that has its own challenges and rewards in a way. So again, drawing the parallels of being on a very tiny budget, and just the family atmosphere. And we do know this, that David Gordon Green and Danny McBride and their whole team, they did go to school, film school together, and they live together now in the same area of Charleston, South Carolina, and they are a very tight knit group. They've worked together on numerous films, so they do kind of have this backhand, much like Carpenter would eventually have with Dean Cundy and Tommy Lee Wallace and those guys. So I thought that was pretty awesome. Um, I also thought it was awesome that around this time, I interviewed my buddy Sean Clark, who a lot of you guys know. I talk all the time about the show, my favorite video podcast show that I highly recommend you go check out on YouTube. It's called The Thing with Two Heads. It's Christopher Nelson, who made the Michael Myers mask in 2018, and has worked on a million of your favorite films. And my buddy Sean Clark, who all of you know, Horror's Hallowed Grounds host, and he does a lot of stuff on his YouTube channel. And of course, he is the agent to the entire Halloween franchise of actors and so many other horror icons. He's their agent at the conventions that so many of us go to all the time. So Sean had basically kind of let it be known that he was instrumental in getting Nick Castle back into the role of Michael Myers. So of course, I immediately was like, you got to tell me this story. You got to tell me this story. And I was like, are you going to be at Mad Monster? And yes, he's going to be there. So great. I'm going to be there. So I talked to Nick that day. Later that night, me and Sean, we kind of gotten into a quiet room, and he told me the whole story, and it was pretty fascinating. Just a little behind the scenes glimpse of exactly who else might have ended up behind the mask in 2018. And again, I think all this was before they even had met James Jude Courtney, if I'm getting the timeline correct. But before Nick was involved in the early stages of the film, Jamie Lee Curtis had been announced. Sean told me that what happened was he got a call, and he's told this story on his show, and again, when I interviewed him, I'll put the link down. You can read the entire interview. But the gist of it is, he got a call from the production looking for Tom Morga. Now, Tom Morga, as many of you know, he played Jason in Friday the 13th Part 5. He also played Michael Myers in a large portion of Halloween 4, in basically the earlier scenes, earlier shot scenes of Halloween 4, before George Wilbur was involved. So, so they're calling Sean Clark, looking for Tom Morga, you know, and Sean's response, as told to me, he said, "Oh, I represent him. Who's this?" And it's Ron Hutchinson. I'm the stunt coordinator on the new Halloween movie, and we're interested in bringing him in for the part of Michael Myers. Now, for those of you that don't know, Ron Hutchinson, yeah, he's stunt coordinator of Halloween 2018. I'm pretty sure Halloween Kills as well, and also the 2 Rob Zombie films. Okay, um, and we met him just very briefly when we were in South Pasadena as well, and he's a very nice man, very, very kind gentleman. Um, Again, just a really quick, back when we were allowed to shake hands, like that was just enough for me, just to be able to shake that dude's hand. So I'm getting off track here. So back to Sean's story, as told to me in our interview. Yeah, so Sean says, "Yeah, I know Tom Morga. He's what, 6'2", late 60s, early 70s." Sean says, "Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they want the guy to be age appropriate in this film, and it's supposed to be 40 years later, and that's what age he would be, roughly. As we know, today would be his 63rd birthday officially." And yeah, so Sean said, "Oh, great, yeah, Tom, he has perfect build," and gives him his info. And then Ron asked, he remembers who he was, and he says, "Who else do you think would be good for the part that fits that description?" Well, Sean said, "Well, Chris Duran is younger. He's in his late 50s, but he's always been a fan favorite for the way he played the Shape. And he's the right build." And so Ron says, "Well, give me his info too." And so Sean gave him Tom's info and Chris Duran's info. And again, I interviewed Chris Duran and confirmed this, that he was in very early talks for this, and was in contact with them. And you can read that interview with Chris as well. So all this is backed up, and it's not just yeah. So Sean tells me, and this is Sean's words, quote, "At the time, I wasn't really thinking of pitching anybody, really. It just kind of popped out off the top of my head. Later, when I told the story to Don Shanks, Halloween 5, he was a little upset that I didn't recommend him. I love Don to death. He's one of the nicest, sweetest guys in the world. And he's just ripped. He's a beast. So I apologized that I didn't recommend him. And I then immediately gave him Ron's contact info. And I think he contacted them himself. I don't know if that ever went anywhere." So again, Don Shanks in the peripheral contention of who might have ended up behind the mask at this point. And I just find this fascinating that these guys were even being discussed even in this way, much less this just kind of nonchalant, almost accidental way, as Sean can attest to in this interview. So Sean, anyway, that happens. He hangs up, and he's thinking to himself, Sean thinks, his words, he says, they had already cast Jamie. They're looking for somebody age appropriate. They're basically looking for Nick Castle. They've gone taller with Michael, but he's the guy they're trying to replace. This is the guy. Why not go for the real guy? So he called Nick. Said, "Hey, I got this crazy question." He asked Nick, tells him the story, and Nick responds, "Yeah, why not?" So at that point, it's pretty wild how this happens. At that point, Sean texts Jamie Lee Curtis. Okay? And from there, within minutes, Nick has texted him back that he's got a Skype interview with David Gordon Green. This is off and rolling. And next thing we know, it's announced on Bloody Disgusting, Nick Castle is back as Michael Myers. Pretty amazing. Don Shanks, Chris Duran, Tom Morga, all in early consideration. And of course, that was, you know, the cameo, the honorary, passing of the guard, Michael. Of course, as we know, the new Michael, the true Michael, our new Michael for 2018 and moving forward, as we all know, is Mr. James Jude Courtney. And my interview with him came very soon after the Nick Castle interview. And again, I'm not going to go into details, behind the scenes stuff right now. The long and short of it was he kind of chose me and was I don't know, chose me, but he wanted to get his story out. And he respected my journalism background and what I've done with the website enough to talk to me on the record and give me his first published interview about Halloween 2018. Now, they had done press, on set and everything, but this was the first time. This was the first time Nick had talked publicly since filming had wrapped. This was the first time James had talked publicly, and I just felt like I was, doing my best to just paint the picture of our new Michael Myers. We've got Nick Castle, and here's how Nick Castle got involved, and so, and then James just gave me this wonderful interview, which is it encompasses his whole career up to this point and how it's all led to this point, and it really made me respect the man, and I dare say we've become kind of friends since then. We've kept in contact, and I've actually we got to meet in person not long after the interview later that year at the H2o event, and we've seen each other in person since then. So that was just an amazing career thing for me to be able to get those exclusives early on. And James, again, you need to read the whole interview. He's great in it, and he's always great. But this is just a little bit of what he says about getting into the Michael Myers mindset. And yeah, he talks about, when they brought Nick Castle in, and he does talk about in our interview how his interview process, and but I'm going to go down here, and what he says about Nick. Well, he says the craziest thing about Nick is he's such a giant talent. Not only that he created instinctively and intuitively with Michael Myers, but look at his body of work. The man is just a genius, and he's the kindest, most generous, neatest guy you'll ever meet. I have a friend and a brother for life in Nick. That's James Jude Courtney talking to me about his experience working with Nick. So obviously, it was a great passing of the torch. And another thing he told me was when they filmed their scene, it literally was a passing of the torch. Nick's cameo, as many of you know, is Michael reflected in the mirror doing the head to, and James, some of that scene is James and some is Nick. Some of those shots, and he explains how important that was to him and to Nick, that Nick's cameo, that they both literally be in that space creating that together. And so I thought that was pretty awesome that they talked about that. Now, I am looking for this one bit of the interview. Yeah. He talks about the first time he saw Carpenter's Halloween, which I've talked to a lot of the cast about, and how it was a game changer. Yeah, this is James talking about in January of 2018, excuse me, he went down to Charleston, South Carolina, did a week of rehearsal. David called me actually prior to rehearsal, and we talked about the character, we talked about movement. He said, look, I really see yes, the shape moves a certain way, and Nick Castle was the one that created that iconic sort of presence, but I have this idea that there's a certain cat-like quality to the efficiency and movement And James responded, well, oddly enough, David, I have my cat in my lap right now. So James talked about how he used that that cat-like mentality to embody Michael Myers, and uh, and he talks about that in our interview quite candidly. And this is what James told me, talking about Nick Castle and taking on the role. He says, I have to say this, man, and this was a real big thing for me. First time in my life, I took what John Carpenter and Nick had created, but I co-created this character with Christopher Nelson. Christopher's work with the mask and the prosthetics and his deep knowledge of the Halloween tradition and the characters and how they move, not only creating the mask that when I put it on, something special happens, but he was with me every single shot. He was the guy that put the mask on and took it off. And he would drop little pearls like whispers or reminders. He wasn't directing me, but his knowledge was so deep. Sometimes we'd do a take and all of a sudden I'd get 5 or 6 notes or 5 or 6 different people. That's a lot to remember. Okay, when you get to the bottom of the stairs, blah, blah, blah. But Chris would bring me right back really deep into like, okay, this is what it's all about. So, this is James talking. He says, so I feel like I co-created this moment with Christopher Nelson, who's just a giant of a talent and one of the finest human beings you'll ever meet. So, and again, that just to bring it full circle, that brings me to my Christopher Nelson interview, which I also did in 2018, not long after James Jude Courtney's interview came out. And it was a huge success. It was kind of introducing the world to James Jude Courtney, at least the horror Halloween community, as the new Michael Myers. Not the stunt guy. You know, he's a stunt guy, but he's a performer. He's an actor, and much more than just a stunt man. He is our new Michael. And Nick was very clear about that when we talked to him and at his Q&A at Mad Monster that year too, preparing people that you're all gonna want to meet him and you're gonna love him. And so then I had to, for the full recreation of Michael, I was lucky enough to interview Oscar winner Christopher Nelson about creating the mask. And that link is also down below. But it was just such an honor and a pleasure. That one we did get an extended amount of time to just talk about his long and full career, and then brought it back home to the shape. And I asked him, you know, how he became the guy to make the new mask. And this is what Christopher Nelson told me, just a little bit of his response, and to tell you, how much this character, specifically Michael Myers, his birthday today, Michael Myers Monday, meant to the people bringing this version of him back. Christopher tells me, this is our 2018 interview. Well, first off, look, when I was going on 10 years old, the original Halloween came out, and it changed my life. I loved Psycho and I loved Hitchcock, and it was very much a nod to that, and I was obsessed with John Carpenter's Halloween. I was obsessed with The Shape. I was obsessed with Michael Myers. At that time, they had come out with these cool novelizations, and I had bought and read that. I was drawing Michael Myers constantly. Maybe it was just my young imagination, but I saw more in it than just a guy with a knife. I understand it's considered the ultimate slasher film, but I never considered it really a slasher film. It's very simple and efficient, but I always just found that Michael Myers was more than that. He was the boogeyman. And because of that mask, the simplicity of that mask, and the simplicity of the way that Nick Castle played it, I think that is what lingers to this day and made it so beautiful. It was the perfect it, it was the perfect storm. If you tried to make that movie again right now, it wouldn't happen. You didn't have behind the scenes anything. You didn't have any of that stuff. It was this mysterious movie that lived on its own, made by passionate filmmakers. That mask was a simple thing that they just altered really quickly and efficiently and simply. It was the way it sat on Nick Castle, and the way he stood there, and the way it was filmed, the way Dean Cundy photographed it and lit it. It was the way that John directed it. Now, again, that's Christopher Nelson talking about the impact of the original Halloween to him going into this project, and not even that, before he ever even knew about this project, before he ever even got involved or even imagined he might be involved. That was 10-year-old him being affected that strongly, and that, I love that. I love that passion, and I love that he gets it going into this, so that those things that he's whispering and helping James with throughout production, man, he gets it. And they've also talked on the thing with two heads. Again, go listen to the James Jude Courtney episodes. They've also talked about, how Christopher would play certain music in the mornings to get James in the right mindset for what they were doing that day. So just some amazing stuff. Just some amazing stuff. And again, while I'm talking about 2018, I'm going to wrap it up. But one more interview, I've got to give a shout out to Rian Reese. She was so amazing. We met her in South Pasadena. First time I met James in person. She was just amazing. She gave us a few minutes of her time for a quick little interview, but it was great to get her perspective, because again, all these other interviews had really focused on the film, but specifically the rebirth of Michael Myers. But Rian was great, to bring that female perspective, because this was, a very pivotal year, if you remember, as far as the Me Too and everything. So it was great to be able to talk to her. And of course, I told her then, and I believe so 2 years later, even like when I interviewed her, I had not seen the movie yet. I don't think she had seen it yet. She hadn't seen it yet. Nobody had. James hadn't. Uh, but we had all seen the commercials. And at the time I interviewed her, the commercials were on TV every commercial break. And it was her scene in the bathroom, screaming. And I was saying, I hadn't even seen the movie yet, but I'm saying that's the highlight reel scream that they'll use forever from this film. When they need one scene to encapsulate this, it's going to be that scream. And so her scream is kind of immortal, kind of instant scream queen status in a way. So I asked her about that, what it felt like to have the commercial on every 20 minutes and to hear her scream. And her response was, "No one can prepare you for screaming. It's not like I'm going to sit in my hotel room screaming at the top of my lungs, giving it a good old practice." She got the accent, and I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do an imitation, but you have to imagine I was literally and palpably terrified in that moment. I can't lie, I wasn't really acting. I was really scared. This is her words. I'm very sensitive to horror anyway, so that's why I didn't really watch it, meaning the original Halloween, prior to being cast in the new one. She said I was coming at it for that specific scene like, oh, it's David and we're shooting a nice indie film where it's a drama and it's subtle and beautiful, and then I just had to switch part of my brain off to do that scene. So yeah, she was really awesome. And again, interesting that she didn't watch the earlier film in that scene, but she was told very specifically, actually, not to, but she was told not to watch the first one. She says, because obviously this is a sequel. She was told to only watch the first one, excuse me, because obviously this is a sequel. She says, I cheated a little bit and watched a little bit of H2O, which is funny because her bathroom scene is kind of, a wink, I think, to the bathroom stall in H2O. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but I think it's definitely a uh, a wink in that direction. We'll have to ask David Gordon Green at some point, but but I of course it was very timely with Me Too going on and everything, and with the true crime that everybody's been obsessed with in recent years, and her being a true crime podcaster, and so I asked her how she felt about this, her character in many ways being a reintroduction of Michael Myers to a whole new generation. And this is what she said, tying into the true crime and the whole real life aspect of it. She says it's an epidemic, isn't it? The whole true crime thing has gone absolutely mental in a great way because they're entertaining. But I suppose the flip side is that we have a lot of podcasts coming out. I mean, anyone can make one, so you don't necessarily have the right training or skills. And let's just say that may be the case when it comes to Dana and Aaron and Halloween. They may be a little bit in over their heads, if you like. I mean, they're not psychologists. They have no experience with serial killers with victims of trauma. So again, I hadn't seen the film yet at the time, but from the ads, it's pretty obvious. Um, that Dana and Aaron are not going to have a good time in this film. And yeah, clearly some foreshadowing there. And we talked about the real world commentary of the trauma of Laurie Strode and the Me Too movement and all that. And I mentioned that I loved that they had that because Carpenter always has some commentary embedded in his films. And she agreed. Rian said, absolutely. I think that the true crime element, the podcasting really sums up this millennial generation that we're very much a part of. And I know Jamie's talked a lot about trauma sufferers, and of course there's that angle. But for me personally, I was really intrigued by the stalking angle of Michael, which no one really talks about. The fact that he is a stalker, and again, everyone can be privy to stalking these days, what with the interweb. You got to imagine her voice saying this. You can probably Google my name and find out 3 little facts about me by now, and that's terrifying, isn't it? So I think a lot about stalking and how that is omnipresent right now, and it's deeply part of our culture, and how it's almost normalized. And that's an interesting perspective that I had on Michael. And she goes on to say, I know the thing that drew me to the script was definitely that 3 badass women. And also, there's no ditzy characters in the movie. That's a nice change, isn't it? In my limited experience with horror films, I think that's just wonderful. It's nice to be given our brains back. And she laughed. And so I thought that was really cool. Another cool perspective on this whole film. So, all right, Nathaniel, how are you? Mitchell, have a great week. All right, man. Let's see. What did I mess up here? Toronto Freddy, what's up, man? Welcome. Happy Michael Myers Monday. Should have been called Halloween Continues. Just calling it Halloween was just lazy. Morga would have been dope. Yeah. I mean, Morga, I think the deeper thing, and again, Sean goes a little bit more into this, but I think Tom had recently maybe had a knee surgery or something like that to that effect, and it just, you know, he wasn't fit up to it. I think might be what happened, and but yeah, Morga. Yeah, I love Tom Morga. I interviewed him too, not about Halloween 2018, but about Halloween 4. And if you go to HalloweenDailyNews.com and search his name, that interview will pop up. But yeah, I just find that, fascinating. The other people that were considered briefly. So how's everybody doing tonight? Let's see. What else did I miss? What else did I miss while I was blabbing and blabbing? Yeah, James, he definitely did a fantastic job. Passing the knife. Yeah, I agree. That's what it should be. It's passing the knife. Yeah, you can't remake it. Yeah, no more remakes. Cal says, I might watch Halloween on Shudder. Do it, man. Yeah, it's a perfect night for it. Absolutely. Do I think an Allison spinoff could work? Kind of like Joker. Have it take place after Halloween ends. I mean, again, with this franchise, I think anything could hypothetically work. But my first reaction would be it depends on where they take Allison over the next 2 movies, I think. Is she going to end up in a place?
Halloween ends, is she going to end up in like a Jamie Lloyd at the end of the Halloween 4 type place where maybe she's the bad guy going forth, which I kind of think would have been a more interesting angle for Halloween 4 to take is Jamie more as a bad guy or trying to be, but they didn't go that route. And so I don't know where they would take it. Or would Allison be our new Laurie going forward or our new Loomis? Because Laurie is basically the new Loomis. She makes that quote to Sartain about, "Oh, you're the new Loomis," which I always think is hilarious because that's what we're all thinking at the moment. But the truth is, no, he's not the new Loomis at all. Laurie is clearly the new Loomis uh, in these films. So, all right, everybody. Well, I've been on here for well over an hour tonight. Once again, I can't believe it. But hey, I love Halloween 2018. I love all the people that I got to interview about this film. And I hope to talk to all of them again. A few of them I might have already been in contact with, and we might have something in the works between now and Halloween Kills, certainly. Uh, some of the people that are also involved in that one. There's a few other people from the 2018 film that I still hope to interview at some point, and we'll be bringing that to you. And of course, uh, got some exciting things in the works for HK next year. But we need to get that trailer out and get the hype train rolling, and then we can. Well, the next big news thing, of course, is going to be January, February, maybe when Halloween Ends begins filming, hypothetically, as early as January, possibly. So, all right. So I hope I answered all your questions. Uh, if I didn't, I'll do my best to try to get to them next week. If you sat and listened to me blabbing on this all this time, then thank you and congratulations. You made it to the end. Uh, I wish I had a better treat to give you, but yeah, maybe one of these weeks we'll have something we can send out. But um, again, you can learn more about everything I've talked about, especially the interviews at HalloweenDailyNews.com. As far as this broadcast, I'd love if you'd hit the like button, hit the share button if you don't mind, spread the word. Uh, Mark your calendar, turn on your notifications to come back here next week. It's the last Monday before Halloween itself. And then the week after that, it's basically our new year. So we'll be here to walk through all that. And we'll go over whatever Myers news there is to talk about at that time. And if not, then we'll find something Myers related to talk about and another reason to celebrate Michael Myers Monday. Because that's all we need, is it being Monday. That's all we need, right? That's all we need. So, with all that being said, once again, thank you everybody for watching this. It's still a learning curve. Like I said, we're gonna get better at this. We're gonna get better cameras, better sound, all that. But it's crazy time right now. It's crazy week. It's crazy day. So thanks for being here so much. I'm Matt Arts for Halloween Daily News. Happy Michael Myers Monday, everybody. Thanks for watching, guys.